People say you can leave AA anytime, and that's one of the reasons why it's not a cult. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of us who are fully in the middle of the group, like a true believer, and think that the ideology is true, that's not exactly true. We can't leave anytime. So this person writes, were you feeling you couldn't walk away if you wanted to? 100%. 100%. And the thing is, though, with this question, the question to me is not exactly like an accurate way to ask it, because when we're fully into AA, we don't want to walk away. We've been conditioned to believe that we can't. And then we, make home in it and we learn to love it. I loved AA when I was in it. The entire time I was in AA, I loved it. I was a true believer. Of course, there was things that happened that weren't great, but I loved AA. I was one of the people who went to Bill's grave and cried and left my chip there. So I was a full-on true believer. But here are some of the reasons why a lot of us are unable to walk away from AA. Number one, the fear of relapse. It is drilled in our head that to leave means jails, institutions, or death. So that's like number two right there, is we're afraid that we're going to die. That was my biggest fear when I left AA. It took me about, 3 or 4 months to remove that phobia from my brain, that to leave AA is to die. I heard over and over and over again that I would essentially die if I left AA. And so that was one of the huge reasons why it was so difficult for me to leave AA. I felt like, what if they're right? What if it's true? Now I know that's called phobia indoctrination. When a group tells you that if you leave the group, like part of the indoctrination process, that to leave the group is to die. It's so horrible. It's coercive control. I've come to find that that's not actually true. And so I worked with a therapist for 6 months when I first left AA in 2020. For reference, I was in AA for 10 years and I left 5 years ago. And so the phobia of death is what kept me in AA for a long time. So that's why I couldn't walk away, because I believed to walk away was to die. So I didn't even consider walking away. Also, the loss of community and friendships. I think a lot of us, when we're in AA, we know if we leave, we're going to be shunned. That's kind of an understanding. It's not confusing, at least. I was confused when I left and I realized that I don't think AA is true at all, but I wasn't confused that I was shunned. We know that if you leave, you're branded as a ticking time bomb, dangerous. And so part of what I heard in the meetings that I went to, of course, everybody has a different experience, right? Is that you don't really associate with people who leave AA, that they're dangerous. You don't really want to get any of their thinking on you, that they are, they're in a danger zone and it could be contagious or something. There's a lot of fear put there. And so 100% I was afraid of losing all of my friends. I've come to realize that my actual friends don't mind if we have different belief systems, that there's space for that I can believe something that's different than they believe and we can still be friends. And so, yeah. Another reason why it can be so hard to leave AA, or we can feel like we can't walk away from AA, is the routine and the structure. Like having some place to go, having that community, having that routine, having the thing that you do. It's definitely, for me, it was a huge loss leaving AA. There was a huge vacuum there in what had taken up a lot of my time before. And so also another reason could be the lack of alternative support system. So for me, there was such a strong community component to AA. I really felt like I really got a lot of benefit out of it. And so to leave was what my intuition said to do. It was what my integrity was. I no longer saw AA as reality or true. The kind of same way that I, in a quick flash of a moment, understood that Santa wasn't real. I had a similar white light experience, if you will, realizing that AA wasn't real. So for me, there was no going back. That was over, but it was like going forward felt impossible, because it would mean I would really, like AA said, the only thing you need to change is everything. Well, right. So I changed everything to go along with AA ideology, my identity, right? I'm an alcoholic, my personality, right? You have to be grateful. You can't be angry or resentful. My friends. So because pretty much everything changed about me when I got to AA, or through the indoctrination process, when I left AA, it was another huge changing of everything. In fact, for me, as hard as it was to get sober, and it was very hard to get sober, it's not lost on me how hard it is to get sober. It was harder to leave Alcoholics Anonymous. There was no love bombing when I left AA. I was shunned. There was no support system. There was no structure. There was no 12 steps to God. There was no group. There was none of that. So leaving, it's like you're walking into the abyss. And plus, AA sets up a thing in our brain, at least it did for me, where there's a lot of doubt, a lot of self-doubt, because we're conditioned to be dependent upon the sponsor, on the group, on the doctrine, on a higher power. It literally changed my brain. It rewired my brain to outsource a lot of my thinking to the group think, obviously, but also my decision making. So leaving makes it very, very difficult to come back and to awaken your critical thinking, to really start thinking for yourself, trusting yourself. It's a rewiring process of the brain. So it is no joke. It's very difficult for a lot of us to leave any cult religion, but including Alcoholics Anonymous. So I think that we're really courageous, the ones that do. And I love that there's a lot of us now that are being vocal about it, because it was such a vacuum for a lot of us. And it's very hard to leave a coercive control system when it's not mirrored back to you that it's okay, that you're not going to die, that you can trust yourself. Maybe you do still need support. I needed support when I left AA, so I hired a therapist who knew AA wasn't true and was thankful that I left AA. I'd worked with her before. She's like, thank God you left AA, right? So she agreed with my decision. She supported me. She did not control me. She did not coerce me. She helped me work through my fears, which were very, very deeply embedded into my psyche, because I believed AA ideology was true. It wasn't just boom, it was over, I walked out and I was fine. It's been a deprogramming journey. I deprogrammed a lot during the first year, then I kind of moved on with my life, forgot about it. And at 5 years after leaving AA, which was just April, like 7 months ago, I started dissenting. I started speaking my truth on the internet about my deprogramming journey. And I have grown so much in this past half of a year. There's been so much more deprogramming that I've been doing as I've been speaking about it. And I'm just so grateful for all of the liberation, all of the freedom. So wherever you're at on your deprogramming journey, I think you're courageous as fuck. And I'm here for it. And I can't wait to hear what you think in the comments.